Another beer from Utopian Brewery. This is their Bohemian Lager. This will be their take on a Czech Bohemian Pilsner. All British ingredients, of course. So I'm guessing they're going to be using the Hanna malt, which is a Czech-derived Pilsner malt. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with the British-grown hops. The Czech Sars is kind of spicy and a little bit floral. The English hops are usually a bit earthy and hedgerowy and slightly fruity. So very interesting to see what the English version of a Czech Pilsner is going to be like. The last Utopian lager that I tried was a Hellas, and it was really, really great. It was slightly different to a German version for obvious reasons, but still a wonderful beer. And I'm hoping that this is going to be along those lines. In terms of how Czech people feel about this, I'm not really too bothered, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. English beers have been taken around the world and recreated. And one main example of this is the IPA. The Americans took the English IPA and they added all these new hops to it and slightly different techniques. And you created the West Coast IPA. And we've got all the way along to the New England IPA and the hazy craze. And that all came from the English IPA. So I don't see why not an English brewery can take the Czech style, the Czech methods, and say, hey, let's try something slightly different. Let's apply all English ingredients. Let's change the hops up, and let's see where we can take it. And so this is kind of a tribute to the Czech style, but this is an English beer, a little bit like how an American IPA is a tribute to the English IPA, but it's an American beer. So yeah, very interesting. I like how they've called it Bohemian Lager instead of Bohemian Pilsner, and they're not trying to say this is a Czech Pilsner from Pilsen or whatever. This is a Bohemian Lager. It's a tribute to the Czech beer, but made with all British ingredients. So let's crack it open and see what's going on with their Bohemian. All right, first up, I had a really nice thick foam head on it. I tried to pour it a little bit harder to try and create that kind of Czech style look in the glass. And yeah, it's a little bit lighter than I was imagining, but yeah, looks like a really clean beer. They lager their beers for at least 28 days. They do it properly. I'm imagining this is triple decocted. That's what the Czech Pilsners are. So I know Utopian, they like to do things properly in their lagers. And if this is a Czech inspired beer, I'm imagining a triple decoction. Let's see what it smells like. It's got a really kind of nice light bready aroma to it, a little bit kind of cracker-esque, really quite bright in terms of an aroma. It doesn't smell too malty, like biscuity. Um, and then the hop side is very, very light. Maybe a hint of kind of floral. I would just say I am drinking this 2 weeks after the best before date on the can, so I apologize to Utopian. So I'm probably not getting the best aroma out of this beer that I could be because it's a little bit old now. But it smells like a very clean beer, well made beer. So let's see how it tastes. Yeah, very nice, very clean beer. I'm not getting the kind of big bready, biscuity kind of thing going on that I normally expect from a Czech beer. It is quite light in malt flavor, which is, that which can be a thing in the Czech. They can range in their kind of color and their maltiness. This is leaning towards the lighter end of the kind of Bohemian lager style. So it's not your super biscuity, toasty kind of Bohemian lager. It is very much on the lighter end. Decent hop bite, decent kind of crispiness to it. Those hops are kind of leaning into a little bit of spice actually, and maybe a kind of almost citric kind of leaning. Yeah, it's quite interesting. They're managing to get that almost SARS-esque kind of spice, but then it feels a lot brighter. So I think on the can it was saying that they're using traditional and newer hops from Britain, of course. So I think they might be getting like a good combination of maybe spiciness from something that's, I don't know, maybe they're drawing spiciness out of earthiness in an English hop, and then they're using something, I don't know, more modern to get the kind of brighter, hot, zesty, citric kind of note. But it's really not on the fruity sense. It's much more on the kind of like hot bitterness side, if that makes any sense at all. Um, it's spicy into citric edge as opposed to spicy and fruity. If you catch me, it is on the lighter side of a Czech lager. I personally want something a little bit chewier, a little bit more biscuity and toasty. That end of a Czech lager. That's my personal preference. But this very much sits in the line of a lighter kind of Bohemian lager. It does drink really well. They are very good at making lagers at Utopian. This is well worth drinking. I think I prefer their premium lager, which is more of a German Helles style, over this one, this Bohemian lager. If I were to go at this beer, I would try and make it a little bit bigger on the malt side. But that said, still a very expertly brewed lager and well worth trying for sure. And really, really impressive how they're managing to use those British hops. And then this one is not earthy; it is gently spicy and a light fruit, kind of very light citric, I'd say, light fruitiness. So they're taking that kind of SARS character of spicy and floral, and they've managed to produce something that's quite similar on the English side, which is slightly spicy and lightly fruity instead of lightly floral. So yeah, really well done on the hop side on this beer for sure. I just think they should have paired it with a slightly chewier malt profile, but I think that's just my personal preference. This is still a really well made beer. So cheers to Utopian for another one. For a beer that is past its best by date, this is still drinking wonderfully. I imagine out of the tank at Utopian, this is a banger. So I'm definitely basing this on the wrong beer in the glass. I imagine that chewiness is way more pronounced, fresh out of the tank, um, and I imagine that it all sings together. This is a fairly old beer, but still managing to hold. You know how impressive they are at making beers. So fair enough. I think I need to revisit this one with a fresher can.